Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fintracker team. If you made it this far, that means you were like me, a realtor who found Fintrack as a pain point. That's why we created this solution for you to streamline the Fintrack process and stop taking photos or photocopies of your clients' IDs and replace it by simply scanning the barcodes, holograms, and watermarks on all government-issued photo IDs. That's right. We also scan international documents. Once you're with your clients, you can scan in person, or if your client is not physically present, out of town, out of city, province, or country, you can send them the remote ID to identify themselves. We're going to get started with a quick tutorial to help you on your way to looking professional and streamlining the whole Fintrack process. Once you have reset your password, your mobile device may ask you if you would like to use Face ID or thumbprint biometrics or 4-digit PIN. I use Face ID to sign in, so I'm not fumbling with the password. To start a transaction when your client is in person, you'll press the plus icon on the bottom right. Selecting New Individual ID, which is the second option. The 4 bottom options are for BC agents, and other disclosure forms for other provinces will soon be coming to the application. If the client's ID is expired, Fintracker will not allow you to proceed. If the ID is fraudulent, you may see a message like ID is unacceptable. Not necessarily fraudulent, could be a damaged ID or something else. Getting a current document on your first transaction will help you scan, auto-populate the Fintrack form in seconds without error and legible for your compliance officer. Before you can proceed, you'll have to enter occupation. If your client is a lawyer who works at ABC Law, and this should be treated as a know your client process. This will allow you to look back next time you work with your client and see how they're doing at their position at ABC Law. At this stage, you can press OK and save it for later. This replaces the shortcut of taking photos of your client's IDs, which is in violation of the Privacy Act. Now that you have this saved, you can carry on with your meeting and conduct your listing appointment or offer to purchase sales agreement appointment. When you'd like to complete it, or if you want to complete it in real time, just fill in the missing blanks. Designated as a buyer or seller, there's a section here that you can send an email to your client if they want to know why this is required by law. There's a little disclosure from our company and a link to the Fintrack website. For transaction property address, one of the mandatory fields on the application, we give you a map widget to avoid abbreviated city, province, and missing postal code. Set that and move on. It knows it's a government issued ID, so we select that method on the form. This is a user-friendly version of the Canadian Real Estate Association individual identification form. We remove the credit file, dual ID, and unrepresented individual section, but if you need to do one of those, you can select it and the app will revert to that method for you. When you scan a government issued ID or select a government issued ID, we remove all those fields. Anti-money laundering check will scrub your client's name against watch list and politically exposed lists. This should only be done if the client is someone you've never met or you are not sure about. You can run that. There will be a fee for that, 99 cents per transaction, and it is an optional fee for you to run this check. We will also have this available on the admin side should your brokerage take advantage of our admin portal, and they can run these checks on their own. Moving on, is there a third party? Yes or no? Moving On to the next section, Canadian citizen and resident physically present. In this case, yes. Business relationship. In this case, it'll be a residential property. Maybe you would like to add repeat investor or repeat client. Additional documentation always helps. Additional measures taken. We've pre-populated some of the most commonly used. Ask the client to provide identification each time they do a real estate transaction with the brokerage to ensure we have the most current and correct information on file. Yes, we do that with Fintracker. You can select that and we'll auto-populate that for you. The politically exposed section, you must ask the client, are they politically exposed or at arm's length with anybody in a significant political role? If the answer is no, we remove all the mandatory fields. If the answer is yes, you'll have to answer a few more. Let's answer no. Ask the individual, date determined today. Very easy. You cannot make a mistake with Fintracker. If you try to submit a form with a missing field, we'll take you right to that missing field by selecting the Submit tab that's in red, and you'll have to complete it, and then you can move on. Once you've completed the individual ID form, you have a few more options. You can add another individual and repeat this process, only we'll pre-populate the transaction property address, your name, your brokerage, and today's date. So you're well on your way to completing the second individual identification form. With corporate ID, you can select corporate ID, and you'll have to fill the rest of the fields using an articles of corporation or file summary, company summary, and soon you'll be able to upload those documents to support this whole kit. Let's add a receipt of funds. We pre-populate your name, your brokerage, transaction property address. You have to select the date, of course. And in no time, you'll be able to scan checks once we perfect our AI software that will auto-populate this section as well, identifying whether it is a check or bank draft. And in the event of a bank draft, you'll see that we remind you that the bank draft does not show the origins account where the funds are drawn from. The bank draft only shows the bank institution ID number or account number. You will have to ask for the origins account. Moving on, if it is a check, you won't have to worry about that. In person, residential property. Did the client provide the information? Again, this is mostly important for the bank draft. If the client does not provide the origins account, you can document additional measures and mention whether they did not want to provide it due to privacy, and it's documented for you in the event of an audit. In this case, did the client provide the information? Yes, they did. Was it deposited to a trust account? All you need is the account name, ABC Realty Trust account in this case. Account number 2 will be the check. And financial institution, of course, type of account. Moving on. You have completed an individual ID and a receipt of funds. Hitting submit, selecting the 2 forms you completed, hit next, and you can enter your recipient of choice, or you will see an automated email address there if your office is set up with our admin portal, and it'll go directly to your compliance officer, deals department, conveyancing. If you're using a document management system, select neither, hit submit. We'll store this to the app. You can recall the transaction and pull it up and upload to your document management system. For some of you using document management systems that allow you to copy a link into it, there is a copy link section at the top right in green. You can select that, paste that hyperlink into your Fintrack section on the document management system if your company allows you to do that. When working with a client for a second time, you can search the name and recall the information, and it'll auto-populate to the new individual ID form for the new transaction. All we ask is you verify the information is still current. Civic address where the client lives, occupation, etc. You want to make sure you update these. And of course, you'll have to answer third-party risk assessment, politically exposed section again. So that is our search previous, and that can be found again under new individual ID, search previous. All of our tutorials are on the top right in our help section. If you ever need a refresher, you can do that. For remote ID, that is when your client is not physically present. You can simply send them a text message and give them a heads up that you'll be sending them a link to identify themselves. You want to enter their name to create a file. Don't worry about the correct spelling. It's just for your purposes. Once they receive it and scan their ID, the proper name will be uploaded to the file. Avoid email if possible. Desktops, cameras do not work as well as mobile devices. So we'll hit send. Client will receive a text message in French and English. Open that up, and the client will read the terms, agree. Again, they will enter their occupation. Continue. A quick tutorial video will be posted here to allow your client a smooth transaction. A few troubleshooting tips: not to use pixelated backgrounds, and to make sure their ID is clean and ready to scan. We're going to move forward here. Get started. Select the country. A drop-down list of all documents that we can scan will show. You will select that. Continue. They'll allow access to their camera. A nice clear photo. A scan of the back. And our software is now validating this document through a series of checkpoints provided by the governments. Once we verify that this is indeed a real document, not a photocopy of a document or a picture of one, and authenticate that there's no forgery or tampering, it will then extract the information and auto-populate it to your form on your app. Now we must validate and verify the individual's identity by doing a quick facial recognition scan. As of March 28, 2022, we must use a technology to authenticate and verify who the individual is, scanning holograms, watermarks, barcodes, and facial recognition. The combination of two will pass in the event of an audit. Otherwise, you must use a mandatory or dual ID process. Fintracker makes your compliance very easy here. Scanning. The individual has now authenticated their document and their physical characteristics. A full copy has been sent to the realtor. You'll go and sign in. Refresh your browser by dragging down on your screen, and the transaction will populate. The difference between in-person and non-physically present is that a report is attached that will be required in the event of an audit. And the report shows a timestamp, an IP address, and also the checklist that we authenticated and validated. There's no fraud, document is not expired, age, estimation, date of birth matches the facial recognition scan and the date on the ID. And the liveness authentication is the most important piece, that it was a real individual person and a real document, not a photocopy and a picture of the individual. And the AI face match means the face matched the document. You're well on your way to looking like a professional, streamlining your FinTrack process. If you ever need support in real time, you can hit the top menu on the top right, hit help, view tutorials, or contact our support team. We're here to help. This has been created by realtors for realtors, and we utilize your feedback to continue to evolve the application. So do not hesitate to send us a message whenever you have a great idea regarding our Fintracker app. Thank you for downloading the Fintracker app, and welcome to the Fintracker team.